You have choice. You have always had choice. What change can we be today? What action can we take to create a future of greater possibilities? Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast with your host, Simone Milasas. Hi everybody, welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. Woohoo! So you're with me, Simone, and I have one of my very, very, very dear friends actually sitting right next to me today. Welcome, Mr. Christopher Hughes.
Well, welcome. Thank you for having me. I love being on your podcast.
Well, and we're actually in your beautiful, stunning office. Oh my goodness.
We are in my new home and you are our first guest.
In my buttercup yellow room. It was amazing. They painted it buttercup yellow and I woke up and I said, it was really nice waking up in this buttercup yellow room. It just felt so jovial. And apparently, Drew, your husband, said it's a really positive, uplifting colour. That's what it's meant to be. Well, it's been great being here.
Wonderful.
So I want to talk a little bit about what's been inspiring you lately? Last night we were having a conversation over some wonderful champagne about how we both have a little bit of itchy feet. We're so used to traveling on a regular basis. I was meant to go to Byron Bay today and then Queensland shut the borders and I was at home and I was coming to your house and I went, I just need to sleep in a different bed and see some different walls. So I'm going somewhere else now, but we were talking about this last night in the sense of, also what we've accomplished for being home almost 18 months now. So what I wanted to ask you is also what's been inspiring you, since you have been home and what choices have you been making and where is it sort of like, what's been different for you?
Great question. Yeah, because there's been a checklist of things you could tick off of stuff that I got done or changed or worked on, like the house and painting the guest bedroom, but bigger picture than that and sort of more meeting the targets for my life that I actually have for myself. It's what I've been asking for is more allowance. And the way I describe allowance is basically a takeoff of Gary Douglas from the book that he wrote years and years ago called The Getting Out of Debt Joyfully.
I wrote that book.
Did you?
Yeah.
You wrote it? Yeah. Well, it says Gary Douglas on the cover. Oh, no, not Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. How to Become Money Workbook.
Oh, yes.
You're like, I wrote that book.
That was a plug for my book, Getting Out of Debt Joyfully, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Also a great book.
Yes.
There it is on my shelf.
I know,
it's
actually,
there.
I noticed on your shelf that you have my books, and I was like, I wonder if you put them up there because I was coming to stay.
No. I've got
How to Become Money Workbook. Let's talk about that.
So in the How to Become Money Workbook, in the beginning of the book, Gary talks about the difference between allowance and acceptance or resistance and reaction. And I know we've talked about this actually on your podcast, I think, before, but it still is it's a pretty big topic to tackle for me personally in life. If you were truly having allowance for everything, the way Gary describes it is, it's as though you are the rock in the stream and you are not at the effect of anything that comes into your life. And that is one of the things that I've been looking for more than ever for myself, where you never get blown off center, you never get in a place where you're reacting to the world around you, like say we're in this situation with COVID and we can't travel, instead of lying down and being a victim or on the other hand going, well, this is the correct thing to happen for right now. It's not about accepting it or resisting it. It's going, okay, this is what's occurring. So what are the choices that I have and what's possible?
It's funny that you say that because yesterday when Queensland, shut the borders, I rang you and then I spoke to another friend of mine and I got off the phone to both of you and I started crying. But I cried, I think, for about 30 seconds. And then I went, oh, it's not much fun. And I was like, okay. And I sat there and went, well, what else can I choose? What else is available? And then I started looking at Airbnb. And I love it when I told you about the place that I found, you went, just make sure it's in the Queensland border. And I was like, good point, And then looked at it. And now I'm off for an adventure in this beautiful place in the middle of the bush, for 3 days and created something different rather than, like you said, it's like not having to align and agree with it, but being in allowance. And how are you going to handle this? Like, what's the next step for you? What are you going to choose?
Right. Like, imagine you're riding your horse down the path called life and it suddenly bucks. You've got a choice. You can freak out. Like, say a tree falls in front of you. You can freak out and like contract and get all like dense about it and get bucked off the horse. Or there's this instant where you can be ultra present and make a choice based on what's occurred that isn't actually reaction. It's going, okay, well, if that occurred, but if I go this way, like, I don't know if I'm doing a great job explaining it, but you know when you have those moments of clarity in those quote-unquote emergency situations, and you just sidestep at the right time to avoid disaster and create a different outcome?
Yeah, but you're also not, like, I like when you said not contracting, because if you're listening to this podcast now and it's like, think of a situation that has occurred that you can't control. Like, it comes out of your control, which I like, hands up, who's a control freak? Pretty much all of you should be putting both hands up. So when something occurs like that, like if your horse bucks or, I don't know, borders shut down or a relationship ends or, maybe you lose money on an investment or something.
Or a tree falls on your car.
A tree falls on your car. Yeah, because it's so random. A tree falls on your car. And it's like, well, how are you going to handle it? And you think that if you contract and focus that you'll have more clarity, but it's actually the exact opposite. If you are present with it, like you say, and functioning from your awareness and being in question, then it's like, okay, so now what else is possible? Like, and if you picture or indulge in the energy of you contracting, and what does it create? And now indulge in the energy of you just expanding out, like further and further and further and further, because your body is here. You can touch your body, but your being is so much bigger. It's like your being has access to the entirety of the universe if you allow it. And choosing from that. So you inspired me to do this podcast today too, because you do have something coming up that's starting, I think, on the 8th.
Yeah, the 8th of August, yeah.
8th of August. And it's 10 days for $10.
Yep, $1 a day.
$1 a day. And tell me, because I really like where you're heading with this, so I wanted to give people a taste of it.
I would like for 10 days to be everyone's fairy godmother.
Oh, please, you've got to go to, I don't know, I need to get a photo or something and get them to go to your Instagram or on mine.
No, what we've come up with for 10 days is 10 different topics that we're filming these videos on that are 2 parts. So the first part of the video is mixing a cocktail. So we're going to teach you 10 classic cocktails, from a Negroni to an old-fashioned to a Caipirinha to a dirty martini. And while we mix these cocktails, we're going to give you these videos on different topics. And each of them will have tools and stories and things that you can use and take away with to actually totally transform your life, whether it's your business, your relationship. And overall, what I would really love people to get to is a place where they actually enjoy being who they are. Like, one of the things that I have for myself that I would love to invite other people to is I really enjoy being me.
Yeah.
Like, I like me.
Me too. I mean, I really like you.
Yeah.
But I also really like me. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many people that I see out there in the world trying to get things right, like trying to reach an ideal body weight, or trying to have enough money in their savings, or trying to basically get life right. Like, I remember when I found Access Consciousness, the thing that I was really looking for, I remember at the time calling it self-confidence. Like, right. I felt like I lacked the confidence to really go out and create what I wanted as a life. But it's actually not. It's really just a place where you stop judging you.
Yeah, and I love that you're covering all these topics in this as well, because it's sort of like, what do you use as the distraction from being you and from being grateful for you? I'm reading this book at the moment called Mutant Message Down Under. and it's absolutely fabulous. The Audible is you can't get it in Australia. It's so weird, but anyway, it's about this lady who walks with Aborigines across Australia for 3 months. And one of the things that I was reading yesterday, they were talking about how, you know, they don't look at bodies as trying to create this perfection. Their whole point of view is when a body is born, it's like it's born for a spirit. Now, I would call it being, like your being, but they call it your spirit. And it's like, so they don't look at the judgment of a body or the judgment of anything. And they also communicate so much, not by words, like Aboriginal languages are not that extensive with words. And they've always had a great capacity to what we would call communicate telepathically. Like that's what they do. So with that, there's no lies. Like you can't lie. Like if someone's got, you know, you can't lie. There's like the no judgments, etc. And the most important thing is this spirit that happens to be using this body to walk upon this plane. Whereas we tend to use so many things to distract us, like the image of how much money we have in our bank account. Do we have the right relationship?
Do people like me? Do I have enough followers on Instagram?
Oh, Jesus.
You know, all of that.
Sweet baby cheeses.
Yeah. And what I've really discovered is when you stop worrying about whether people like you, the fuckers do. They just start liking you.
Yeah.
When you like you enough that you're not vested in that validation from other people, they all go, who are you?
Yeah. It's true. And it's like, and I've been looking at this for myself and talking about it on some classes recently as well, is there's no one who knows all of me except for me. And it's a constant discovery of me as well. Like there's a lot of people like you, you're a really good friend and you have been for quite some time and you know a lot about me and you know a lot about how I be or what I choose to do, etc. And it's also what I choose to let you in. And then there's other people who know something different, or, you know, a friend, a colleague, a lover. It's like they all know different aspects of you, but you are the one that gets to wake up with you each day. I mean, you're married. It's like you sleep next to your husband. It's like you live with him, etc. But he doesn't know everything about you.
No, exactly.
You're the one that knows that.
Well, it's like you coming here to stay at my house for a night. You probably know more about me now, even for the 10, 15 years we've been friends. You get to see a different side of someone by how they've created a home even.
Do you know, that's interesting you say that, because I have known you when you had fuck all money, basically.
less than nothing. Yeah.
Let's say it like it is. And then now I know you and you have money. You've learnt to, you know, receive it, create it, you know, enjoy it. And so to see how because you actually sold your house and bought another house in the last, you know, year, and to see how you guys are decorating it is off the charts amazing. It's like, but it's so different. Like there's really random things that I'm not that great at putting things together. I would go, oh, that doesn't match, but it's not about the matching. It's the I know I'm sitting in your office right now. Do you have photos of your office on Instagram?
I think I do, yes.
Okay, so you got to go search. Is my hair too big? With the number 2 is Chris's Instagram handle. That's a whole other story. Don't ask. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's just magnificent. Like this wallpaper and the marble and all the vases and everything. It's just got this level of chaos and creation that is so you, but not definitive.
No, and that's the thing I wanted to talk about too, the definitive part. When you were talking about, you know, like we're talking about enjoying being us, but so many people approach self-help or, you know, going to seminars where they improve who they are or get out of judgment of you. And there's this idea that people are going to discover who they are, but who you are and the being you are isn't a destination. There is no totality of you you're suddenly going to arrive at where you're like, ta-da! I've got it all. Like to go back to the example of our home and decorating, yeah, this is it right now, but in 2 years I may tear it all down and start again. You know, like we are constantly evolving and growing as beings. In the First Nations example you gave, or the Aboriginal story, they talk about the spirit. Well, I look at it as the being we are, similar to you. And if our being is infinite, which it is, it never ends. There will always be more of us to choose and more of us to add to our life. Like what I love about art, design, music, cuisine, all of the things in my life that I enjoy is every time I discover something new, it's like bringing a piece of me home. Because it's expanding my worldview and my experience and what I know is possible. And that's actually giving me a bigger playground to explore in.
Oh, I love that. It does. Like a bigger playground by each choice that you make and everything else that you receive, and not defining you. It's funny, there's in this book as well, Mutant Message Down Under, twice there's this moment in the book where one of the Aboriginal elders says, "Do you know what forever is?" And she says, "Yes." And then he asks again, "Are you sure? Do you know what forever is?" And she says, "Yes." And he goes, "Okay, then I can give you this information," and tells them some information. But it's like, so like, wow, have we even looked at that? Like if I know that my being like goes on forever. It's like I've had trillions of lifetimes, and what else am I going to choose? This lifetime, I'm in this body, and it's like, what am I going to choose in this lifetime? But having access to everything.
Because forever doesn't end. So there's no definition to forever. No. It just keeps going.
No. Are you going to use the same wallpaper forever?
No.
No.
And you know what? That's really interesting, because Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, good friend and business partner to us both, he gave me a wedgie. And if you don't know what a wedgie is, it's sort of like when you pull up someone's underwear so hard that you have to pick it out because it drives you nuts. Gary has this amazing capacity of saying things to people to leave them with an energetic wedgie. And in December, when we bought this house, Gary said to me, "Well, you have your forever home and your forever husband and your forever job and your forever car. So I guess you're comfortable. That's it, huh?" And the idea of something being, okay, well, that's all it is.
That's it. I've reached my...
Oh my God, that drove me crazy. And I talked to people about that in the seminars that I do too. I was like, one of the last ones I did, I said, okay, guys, get the energy of what your life was like 6 months ago and how much you've changed. And everyone gets this big bright smile on their face when they go, oh yeah, I have changed so much. My world is bigger. I have more awareness. And then I say to them, okay, you're not allowed to go any further than this. This is it. And the discomfort in people's world, or the defiant energy of fuck you, comes up, and they go, yes, I can choose greater. I can go further. I can be more. And this is like with everything that I facilitate, every seminar I do, this is what I truly desire. I desire people to have more of themselves.
Yeah, and thank you for that. And so can I just say, if you are interested, if you've got a spare $10 for you and a friend maybe, or someone that you, I don't know, a foe it could be, we'll have the details of where you can sign up for in the show notes here, but where can people go to?
If they go to my website, mrchristopherhughes.com, and then you'll find it under events, but also if you go to Having It All, so mrchristopherhughes.com/having it all. The course is called Having It All and Having a Ball.
Nice, I love that.
Like Cinderella, you're going to have a fairy godmother that's going to get you ready for the ball.
Yeah. And I just want to sit with this moment, what you were talking about as well again, because it's like, what if we were never complacent with what we're choosing? Like, I love the way that analogy you choose of like, because I love my life. Like, I have a really good time. I wake up happy. I'm so grateful for so many things in my life. And I've also been really grateful to be in Australia. And Gary threw me a wedgie as well one day when he was like, oh, well, maybe you can just do all the classes in Australia and you can run the Australian company. I do run the Australian company, but he meant like, you don't need to go travel around the world. And I was like,
ooh.
Fuck you.
Red rag to a bull.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm happy here now, but doesn't mean that that's what it's going to be next year, okay?
Yeah. But that's what I mean too. Like, yes, you're grateful for your life now and you love your life now. And I know you will always have a hunger for more.
Yes, always.
And it's not from greed, or it's from a lust for a greater experience and more possibility. Like, one of the things I talk to people about a lot is having a bigger life. And the definitions people seem to come up with for having a bigger life is, oh, that means you fly first class. That means you have a good car. That means you have more money. That means you have a bigger house. No. Having a bigger life comes from having more awareness and having a willingness to be aware of more, which does mean you receive more and opens the door to more possibilities.
And choosing. I love Dane here once said that he's made more bad choices than people have made choices, and it's correct. So many people will sit back and not choose, or, like we gave that analogy right at the beginning of, your horse is bucking and there's a tree that falls down, and what are you going to do? And, I look at, like, yesterday, like, again, using that story of when the Queensland shut the borders, and I went, okay, so, because I deliberately have not much on in the next few days, because I was just looking to relax and play and whatever, and so I looked at that and went, okay, so I could just stay at home, drink some champagne and watch Netflix and probably go to the gym and go to the beach and whatever. It's like maybe meet up with a couple of people. But that's what that is my life. Like, that's very what I choose a lot. And I realized I needed different walls. I needed a different space. So then went, okay, let's get a different space. What would I like? Oh, bush, nature. I want to be able to walk out in the bush and go hiking. I want a fireplace. I want a hot tub. I want, and looked at it and then chose something different. So now I'm on a different adventure rather than just going, that adventure was taken away from me. The only choice I have is this. It's like, no, you actually have infinite choice. Like, you really do. Whatever is happening in the world and wherever you are, it's like you have infinite choice, because it comes down to whatever is put in front of you, how are you going to handle it? What are you going to choose next? Like, I was talking not long ago about, and I do have a relationship done different class coming up in August as well. You can find out more about that on my website as well. It starts on Thursday, the 12th of August.
It's live from the Antique Guild in Brisbane.
It is live from the Antique Guild in Brisbane, which I'm very excited about, because it's so beautiful to facilitate these classes surrounded by that elegance and beauty. And but one of the things I was looking at is, like, my life with the relationships or different lovers, etc., that I've chosen. I've been so grateful for when they've been there, and then when they have ended, it's like there's sort of like this and you go crashing. And then stop crashing and actually choose something greater. And I'm so grateful that I'm not in them anymore. Like, there's always something greater. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently who, she was devastated when her husband left her. I don't know, I think it was like a year and a bit ago. And I was just talking to her the other day, and she said, it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So a lot of the times when you quote unquote think that life is shitty or there's something that's not going well, you've just got to open up to more possibilities and, be willing to be out of control and be willing to receive from the entirety of the universe, and know that you're not fucked up. You're not fucked up in any area of your life. And I want to say thank you so much for doing this 10 days. Like, this is going to be brilliant, and you covering all these different topics. It's wonderful. How does it get any better than that?
How does it? Thank you so much. And what if you were never wrong?
Yeah. And also never right. Stop trying to get it right. What if you could just be free? Free and happy.
Whee!
So thank you so much, Mr. Christopher Hughes, for joining me here today.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone here, for joining me. And I'll see you next time. And, Relationship Done Different class coming up. Lots of stuff coming. If you want to go check it out, go to my website, SimoneMilasas.com. Or my Instagram handle is a little bit easier than Chris's. Mine is just at Simone Milasas. Chris's is is my hair too big with the number 2.
Yep.
All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you're enjoying this podcast and have a question or topic you'd like me to address, please leave a review wherever you are listening. The best way for me to know what it is you want to hear about is to send in your questions, and we actually read all the reviews that come in. So let us know which episodes you loved and what you want to hear about next, right there in the podcast reviews. And thank you. Truly, truly grateful.